Hi, good afternoon. How can I help you?
My name is Elaine Roberts. I have an appointment with Mrs. Lewis.
Please have a seat and I will get Miss Lewis for you.
Thank you.
Okay. Mrs. Lewis, Elaine Roberts is here to see you.
You'll have to excuse me. I'm a little bit nervous. You see, I always feel a little bit of stage fright before a job interview. It's a natural thing, a bit like actors on a stage, if you think about it. The scene is set, the characters have practiced their lines, everybody's got a little bit of stage fright, especially the players. Why? Both the interviewer and the candidate have a demanding audience. The interviewer has the authority to hire someone and the power to advance a career. The candidate has already been through the steps of applying with an application or a resume, and in most cases has spoken to or been in contact with someone on the phone. They have prepared both physically and mentally, and the stress levels can be very high. As an interviewer, you will be faced with many different individuals. You may interview a person with a disability. How do you handle a situation like that?
Hi, I'm Karen Lewis. You must be Elaine Roberts.
Yes, I am.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
So, did you find the place okay?
Yes, in the parking direction.
Morning.
Hey, good morning. I have an appointment with Mr. Reese for a job interview.
Okay, would you like to have a seat? I'll go get him for you.
Thanks. Good morning, Mr. Reese. How are you today?
I'm fine, thanks for asking. Don't worry about getting up.
Nope, too late. I'm already out.
Are you sure?
I'm fine. You bet.
Well, I appreciate you being here on time.
Thanks. I pride myself on being punctual.
Excellent. It's a quality we're looking for in our people. Punctuality is very important to us.
Well, I've never been late. Well, only a few times, actually, when I was out fighting crime. That's just a joke.
All right. Well, I'm impressed you've never been late.
Well, if you check my references, they'll tell you. It might be easy to assume otherwise, but I rarely miss work. I tend to get up a lot earlier because I need more time to prepare for work.
In reviewing your resume, it states here you spent a lot of time with various accounting systems. Do you ever need any assistance?
Usually only at tax time. No, seriously though, I do use some enabling technologies that I can bring into the workplace.
I'm sorry, I meant with accounting. Does your disability impact your performance at all?
My disability doesn't affect my accounting skills. My accounting marks in college were above average, and I like to think that I've progressed a lot since then. My biology marks were a different story altogether, though. But there's no biology in this job.
No, I sure hope not.
For your sake, so do I.
Well, your resume states here that you've had 6 years of accounting or related work. What do you find the most challenging about your job?
Well, as a junior accountant, I started off by...
Persons with disabilities are just like anyone else in a job interview. They want a chance to prove their capabilities in their field to an employer. They want the employer to assume potential and that they will be a valuable asset to the company for which they work. Persons with disabilities accept the responsibilities of a job, and if they do not live up to those duties, they are accountable for their actions. They are just like anyone else when it comes to the rules of the workplace. They should be judged on their skills alone. Persons with disabilities are capable employees. They just happen to have a disability.
Yeah. One of the important considerations that employers really need to think about in this day of customer service is to think about what employee base they have. When you think of your competitors, what distinguishes you from your competition? And I think in most cases, employers will answer that their employees really make a difference, especially if you're involved in customer service. So if you take a look at who your customers are, that would include all kinds of people. That would include women, it would include men, it would include young, it would include old, it would include customers of different ethnic backgrounds, and it would include persons with disabilities. The question you have to ask yourself as an employer is, does your employee base reflect your customer base? Only if you know the needs of your customers will you be able to meet those needs.
Hiring someone with a disability diversifies a company's workforce. One of the benefits of having a more diverse employee base is that it usually leads to a wider customer base. More customers, of course, means more revenue. Disabilities come in different forms. Many people have invisible disabilities. These are disabilities that are not apparent. Deafness, learning disabilities, and epilepsy are a few examples of invisible disabilities.
Thanks for coming in. You must be Julius?
That's right. Thank you for meeting me this morning.
No problem. I'll be right to the point. We're looking for a shop hand that can start right away. We've had a really good quarter, but it's almost been too good, and we're starting to get behind. I reviewed your resume, and it looks good, but I want to know up front what your availability is going to be like. Well?
I'm sorry, did you say something?
Yes, didn't you hear me?
No. Actually, I'm hard of hearing. I need to be able to see your lips when you speak. It's not a problem. You just have to let me know when you want to speak to me.
Oh.
Now what were you saying?
You didn't mention you were hard of hearing in your resume.
Well, I'm never too sure whether to put it under education or experience.
Okay. I was asking about your availability. However, I wanted to ask you about this gap in your experience.
I'm available. I've been working on contract, but my wife just had a baby, and I'm looking for something a little more stable. As for the gap, I took some time off last year after my illness. Sort a few things out, learned to lip read. It was a real adjustment, but I think I've adapted well, and I'm really excited to get back to my career.
That's great, but I was wondering if you have any problem answering the phones or anything like that.
Well, I didn't think that was part of my job, but if you need me to answer the phones, there's amplification technology that really works great and would enable me to answer the phones with no problem at all.
Okay, well, it says that you did some apprenticing overseas. Now, what kind of differences did you find?
Employers may be wary of taking on someone with a disability because they feel that the person may have some difficulties with everyday tasks, such as answering the phone. There are several assistive devices designed specifically for persons with disabilities which minimize the challenges of dealing with these tasks. Many enabling technologies can benefit anyone in the workforce. Technology like voice-activated computers, text zooming monitors, TTY phones, and automatic doors, to name a few, which makes life easier for everyone. New employees often need some adaptations to help them fulfill their job. For example, an employee who travels a lot will need a laptop instead of a desktop computer. A person with a disability just needs a slightly different set of adaptations. A commonly quoted study has shown that 90% of adaptations made for persons with disabilities cost less than $1,000. In many cases, expenditures on accommodations for the disabled lead companies into exposure to new technologies that can benefit many employees. Where does an applicant place a disability on a resume? Disclosure is a delicate subject. Should an applicant disclose the fact that they are blind or have severe arthritis? It is possible they are thinking that disclosing may affect their chance of getting an interview in the first place. This shouldn't count against the person. How comfortable would you be discussing the results of your last doctor's visit with a complete stranger? In many cases, though, the applicant doesn't even consider the disability when applying for a position for which they are qualified. A disability such as hard of hearing, as with Julius, our shop hand, has no bearing on how well he can perform his job. If the applicant doesn't let the disability affect their performance, why let it affect you?
Well, the first piece of advice I think that I would give is don't make any premature assumptions about who you're looking at or what you're looking at. Because if you approach it with an open mind to elicit as much information as you can from the interview, you could be in for a tremendous surprise in a positive way. But if an employer has made some sort of prejudgment based on a discomfort that they have being in the same room with someone with a disability or some previous experience, they may be doing themselves and their company a disservice, and certainly the individual who they're interviewing. So I would say, first of all, approach it with a completely open mind in terms of the individual that you're interviewing. Allow that individual, like you would any that you would interview, to establish themselves in terms of their credibility and their potential and what they have to offer. Treat them exactly the same way you would like to be treated. How would you like to be treated? That's how they would like to be treated. That's how I would like to be treated.
The reason so many interviewers are affected by the disabled applicant is that it can often switch their normal interviewing paradigm. In an interview situation, the interviewer typically examines the person's skills, experience, and education first. The ability comes last. However, when interviewing a person with a disability, the status quo may be reversed. The disability now becomes the focus. The skills and experience may become secondary. It's all a matter of perspective.
Oh yeah, definitely. I feel I have a lot to offer, and a lot both in terms of my professional competence, but also in terms of sharing what my experience has been. And it's certainly going to be an occasion for many others, because before I had this disability, you know, I took everything in life for granted. I have really undergone a transformation. So when you have somebody who has a disability who can relate to you personally, I think it helps to educate the general public. So that's another aspect I hope to bring to the workplace.
Actually, she was extremely polite and seemed very professional on the phone.
That's good. We really need someone with her type of skill set around here. She's almost overqualified in the education department. That's a real bonus for us. Come in. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, no need to be sorry.
So, Mrs. Haney, tell me about yourself.
An interview can't proceed properly if the interviewer sees only the disability, not the person. It creates an uncomfortable situation because it is uncommon and because most interviewers are concerned about the appropriateness of their actions. As I said earlier, though, it's all a matter of perspective. And perspective is something that can be changed.
Come in. Would you like me to move that chair?
Thanks, but I've got it. I'd like to thank you for this opportunity, Mrs. Gilden.
No problem. I've reviewed your resume, and you're very well educated. I'd like you to tell me a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in the advertised position.
Well, essentially I'm a network specialist with advanced programming skills. I've just finished my college program, so as a result my experience is based on summer placements. I'm looking for a place to work that's well suited to my abilities and interests.
Excellent. I'm always impressed when young people gain so much technical industry related experience. Now, what do you find most challenging about?
Which was right after I finished traveling with the university debate club. I took a little time to readjust after I got back, but college started in the fall, so here I am 2 years later.
I'm very impressed with your experiences. Do you have a specific needs to help you fulfill your duties?
Well, I do find it hard to carry loose monitors around, so I had a trade built that attaches to my wheelchair. I usually find that my workbench needs to be lowered, and if there are any network support materials on shelves, I would have to rearrange the office with some assistance in order to get at them.
Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem for our maintenance staff to make those accommodations. Your needs certainly can assist in making our office more accessible.
Well, I appreciate your support.
Our salary schedules and vacation periods need to be discussed, but first, do you have any questions?
Are there any conduits or closets that I would need to access that won't accommodate my chair?
There's a network hub on every floor. Let's go check it out.
All right. Great.
By changing perspectives, it's easier to see the person being interviewed for their education, skills, and experience. Changing perspectives means changing attitudes. Attitudes which may influence an employer's decision to hire. As with many good interviews, our interviewer asked direct questions relating to the job. The candidate was well chosen for the position, and the director had originally seen that in her resume. Questions about workplace modifications were straightforward and were answered honestly.
Thank you for coming in. It was nice meeting you.
Thank you for seeing me. Bye-bye. Persons with disabilities know what they require to perform in the workplace. A disability does not affect skills, education, experience, or attitude. Employers hire for abilities, not disabilities. It's all a matter of perspective.